Welcome to the Gita in Action podcast. My name is Radha, and I'm here with our family of seekers, and I'm so excited to be here with you all today because we had to take Thursday off. And I don't know about you guys, but taking a day off for me, it's like usually the Gita in Action podcast is like the highlight of my week, and then when it's not there, it's like the low light of my of my week. I feel just like less grounded and yeah, inspired, less inspired. So it's so nice to be back with you all and doing what we do, reading through the Gita. And I'll tell you, I get a good amount of texts that's like, I love the podcast. I love hearing everybody's insights. We really created kind of just like this sweet family environment here where we come together, we study these ancient texts, we reflect on them, and we make them real. And it's appreciated. So thank you, everybody who comes live and who shares their hearts and their insights. It's a team effort. It's a team effort. So today we're starting in chapter 9. We start with verse 11. Chapter 9, verse 11. I want to make one pitch before we start, and that is that we have two retreats coming up in the spring. Two retreats. So you should definitely come to one of them so that we can all spend time together and get to know each other better. There's one in March, which we just opened registration for. That's in Costa Rica, March 14th through the 21st. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have a sound bath at a volcano. It's going to be like a next level retreat, just like infusing bhakti with just fun adventure. I call it like the bhakti adventure retreat because we're going to volcanoes, hot springs, giant waterfalls, beaches. So it's going to be next level. Really excited for that. And then if you can't come to that because it is kind of a big venture. It's out in Costa Rica. If you can't come to that, we are having a women's retreat in New Vrindavan. What is that? April 16th through the 19th, I believe. It's 3 days this year. Usually it's just the weekend, but we added a Friday on. So you come Thursday night, you leave Sunday. That's going to be like girls' night out extended through a weekend. And we're going to have so many fun things. I think we're going to do like a paint and chai. You know how they have like paint and sip? And we're gonna do like a paint and chai. We're gonna have some henna. We're gonna have a lady who's like volunteered to give everybody henna if they want it. We're gonna just lots of kirtan, lots of association. I can't we may have a bonfire. I can't remember if we put that in there. If the weather's nice, we'll probably just do it. Lots of yoga. So it's gonna be just amazing time for us all to connect and be together. So with that, oh, and you can register for both of these things on the New Vrindavan website. So just type in New Vrindavan, West Virginia, and they all of registration is on these on their website. So let's go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and start. This is chapter 9, text 11. That's where we are. And before we start, Shakti, can you say our prayers for us?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Jnana Timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kara Mayam Tatanti Sva Pandatikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tamsa Jivam Sadvaitam Savarutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitams Cha Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancha Garungi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Prananami Hari Priye Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Siddhanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachayane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschataya Tarayane Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavembhyo vaishnavyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasaru Garu Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Nice. Such purifying prayers. Thank you so much, Shakti. Okay, so let's start with text 11, chapter 9. When you're ready for us, actually, I can double click if you want to read the Sanskrit too. Do you want to read the Sanskrit,
Um,
Stella?
I could try. I could try it.
Great.
Avajananti mamuda manusim tamun asritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme Lord of all that be.
Thank you. So, if we remember in this section before this, Krishna spent the last few verses explaining how he creates, maintains, and dissolves the entire universe. And yet he remains completely untouched by all of it. So now in verse 9:11, he shifts into something very personal, how people understand him or misunderstand him. So Krishna's basically saying, some people think that I'm just an ordinary person. And and the thing is, people misunderstand Krishna because he comes in a human-like form. He laughs, he jokes, he plays with his friends, he drives Arjuna's chariot. And because of this, people assume like, oh, he's just a powerful man or he's just a historical figure. But the Gita tells us that Krishna is not just a very extraordinary person. The Gita tells us he's the supreme controller. Just like there's layers of managers or directors, presidents, in the world, there's countless controllers in the universe. That I'm a pretty good controller in this universe. But Krishna is above them all. Krishna is above them all. So he may appear ordinary, but his nature is anything but ordinary. And this misunderstanding, it's not just a 5,000-year-old problem, because this was 5,000 years ago that we're talking about when this is set. We still do this today in our own personal ways. And that is that many of us project our human experiences onto God. Like, give you an example, like if someone in a church or a temple treats us poorly, we assume that God must be disappointed in us. If we feel ignored by a spiritual community, we think God's ignoring us. If someone judges us, we assume God is judging us. If we feel unworthy in front of people, we assume that we're unworthy before God. And this happens because deep down, we're still seeking approval from people. We want to be accepted, we want to be validated, we want to be seen. And when we don't get that from humans, we unconsciously believe we won't get it from God either. Their behavior becomes the lens that we look at God through, that we even approach God through. But their behavior reflects their conditioning, not God's character. And then that's a big difference here. Their behavior reflects their conditioning, not God's character. And if we truly knew God's heart, how gentle, how loving, how patient, how non-judgmental he is, we wouldn't confuse someone's rudeness or insensitivity with God's rejection. I remember one time when I was in Govardhan, this woman who was just like she's like 20 years my senior in spiritual life, and she'd kind of become like a mentor to me. And I was getting ready to leave Govardhan, and she's like, I want to take you to Govardhan, and first for something special. So we get there, and she's like, I want you to pray to Govardhan, and I want you to really reflect on what is keeping you from connecting? What's between you and God? And as I was praying, and as this realization came to me, that it's like I have this inner narrative that I'm not enough, or that like if I'm in a relationship, I'm gonna mess it up. Right? And my own inner narrative, my own conditioning is keeping me from really having that next level relationship with God. And this is how it is, right? We project our own human experiences, our own conditioning unto our relationship with God. And this is why it's so important to clean up when we get into spiritual life. And then when I say clean up, I don't mean like clean up your house. I mean like clean up your heart, because these things limit us. They limit us from authentic connection with ourselves, with others, and most importantly with God. So we have to kind of start to become aware of them. And then I started to become aware of them, I started to see this everywhere show up for me. Like even how I approach my deities. Like I'm afraid that I'm going to mess up when I approach them. So what I do is I just don't approach them. And I just don't give them a bath because I'm afraid that I'm going to make them dirty or mess it up. And it's just like this is just our mind. This is just our conditioning. This isn't God. Right? God's loving, God's patient, God's non-judgmental. But most of us still have our relationship with our father, our mother sitting in there that who are judgmental, right? Who are condemning us every time we mess up. Right? And then we project that onto God. And this projection reveals a deeper truth about the heart. This projection leaves a deeper truth about the heart, and that is, and we've talked about this many times on here, that we project human tendencies on God because we're trying to fill that God-sized hole in our hearts with human love and approval. Because our souls, we're all born with this longing for a perfect love, for perfect acceptance, for perfect connection, for perfect reciprocation. But because we've forgotten our spiritual identity, which is who we really are, we try to satisfy this longing with the people and the things of the world. Yeah, we think if this person loves me, I'll feel complete. Or if this community accepts me, I'll feel whole. Or if this relationship works out, I'll finally be fulfilled. But no matter how wonderful people are, even we have the divine couple here, Stella, and we have two divine couples here, Stella and Kalachandji and George and Shakti. They just beautiful relationships of beautiful examples of God-centered relationships. But no matter how selfless, and wonderful your significant other is, no, the reality remains that nobody can really fill that God-shaped hole. Not completely and not permanently. So then what we end up doing is we shift our love from one object to another, one relationship to another, one job to another, one spiritual community to another, one achievement to another. And then every time that something fails us, the longing just gets bigger, not smaller, it gets bigger. And this is materialistic thinking, trying to meet a spiritual need with material solutions. And the Gita tells us why this doesn't work. Okay? We're ignorant of the one non-material, eternal object of love, and that is the all-supreme person. The all-supreme person, Krishna, God. And when we finally offer our hearts to Krishna, even a little bit, we see that he reciprocates. And not like humans do, not inconsistently, not conditionally. He reciprocates eternally, personally, beautifully, beyond our expectations, in a way that fills the heart completely. And only Krishna can fulfill the heart's longing fully and forever. And this is so much what I love about this path is the practices that we do, the waking up, the chanting, the meditation. This is us developing a relationship with God. Right? It's real. It's actually happening. We're singing kirtan, we're chanting, we're saying God's names. This triggers something inside of us. right? This awakens this divine love inside of us. And we actually get to experience in this material existence what it's like to have a relationship with God, and not just like theoretical, not just in a way that you say like, "Oh yeah, I know God. I'm surrendered to God." It's not just like a declaration. It's more than that. It's something we feel inside our heart, and it's awakened through these practices. But there's something important to acknowledge here, and that's that even if we know all of this, we can't just turn off our disappointment when people let us down. And even if we intellectually understand, no human can fill my heart completely. Even if we understand I'm projecting because I'm seeking approval, right? I need to anchor my identity in Krishna. Even if we know this, the heart doesn't just heal instantly. Our conditioning doesn't just dissolve overnight. Right? Our expectations don't just vanish because we've read a verse. We're still going to feel hurt. We're still going to feel disappointed. We're still going to feel the sting when somebody ignores us, judges us, or pulls their love away. And it doesn't mean that we're failing spiritually. It simply means that we're still learning how to shift our attachment to the proper place. And the Gita never shames us for having emotions. Right? Krishna never tells Arjuna, stop feeling that. When Arjuna's on the battlefield and he's just like distraught, he's like just completely bewildered. Krishna never chastises him for feeling. Some of us do that. I know I do that to myself. Like you shouldn't have feelings. No, no. Krishna guides Arjuna step by step from where he is to where he can go. So when we get disappointed by people, it's not like a spiritual flaw. It's a signal, a gentle reminder that our heart is asking for something only Krishna can consistently give. And we should understand that Krishna doesn't get upset when we're not fully there yet. He doesn't say, "Why are you still so attached? Why aren't you fully surrendered?" He just keeps showing up, waiting for us to turn towards him in our timing, in our capacity, with our imperfect hearts. And we don't just turn off our human tendencies, but we outgrow some of these things gradually as we begin to experience Krishna's love more deeply. And many of us here have experienced that and are experiencing that. And that's why we keep coming back to this practice again and again, because we see that. So we're getting more attached to Krishna and less attached to the things of this world. And in that, our relationship even with the things of this world starts to change to where it's really a relationship that we're seeking so that it supports our relationship with God, not so that it becomes our all in all. And in that, there's like a sense of like liberation, a sense of like even freedom, a softness. And that's what Krishna wants for us in this life. He doesn't want us to like hold on so tightly to these things that are even impossible to hold on to at best, or just like biting us all the while we're trying to hold on. He wants us to turn towards him. This is where the real love is. And when everything in our lives becomes supportive of that, then everything in our lives becomes sweet. It's like maybe it goes from like a cactus to like a beautiful lotus flower. Yeah. And spiritual maturity, it's not flipping a switch. It's a slow reorientation of the heart from depending on people and things and achievements to depending on God, without rejecting the human love that we are receiving, but without demanding that it satisfies us completely. So this is a journey, and Krishna walks it with us patiently and lovingly. What do you guys think?
And he walks with us in a human form, which is wonderful.
Yes, he walks with us in a human form. And that's actually where we're going next is digging into a little bit what that means.
Hey, Krishna.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so I agree with what Stella had just said. Like he walks with us in a human form. But I think what Radha was saying is that plague of that washes over perfectionist people-ish. Similar, you and I, you know, we're not doing enough, or it's not good enough. I'm like, oh, I did this. Like I'm trying to do like just this like very simple one verse Gita thing. I'm trying to get people to come to my program, right? So it's really just for them. And it's like I watch it and I'm like, I don't even sound like I know what I'm talking about. Like I just like right away, it's not good enough. No, they're gonna see I'm a fake, I'm a fraud. I don't know, I'm not really, like it's just all of these things. And it's like, why? Why do I have why do I what's the need that I have to do that to myself, to bring myself from up here, right? Like I was telling somebody about the retreat and in Costa Rica. I said, yeah, and then I'm going to be doing a retreat with Radha Priti and there's like I think two or three other people. You're doing a retreat? And my first thought was, oh yeah, they probably think like, why am I doing a retreat? Like in my head, like I'm not doing it. I said, no, Radha's doing one. You know, I'm gonna just offer some services. And but it's like right away, I instead of going like, yeah, I did it, I go, and I like go back. It's almost like a turtle. I go back into
Mm,
my turtle shell, my head
mm,
is back in, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to talk about this.
mm,
And I don't, I think I've gotten better, but I think sometimes it comes out and I don't know how to, the only way, what's the word?
Pivot.
Pivot. Yeah.
That's the word.
And I actually, I did, I have pivoted and good things like, I have really positive things that have happened already over this weekend. And, um, and that's because I pivoted. That's because I did
mm,
allow those what we're talking about right now to take me down. It's almost like
mm,
it's like Maya trying to take me down to tell me,
mm,
don't try and teach Pilates. You go in there, she's going to see right through you. You don't know how to teach reformer
mm,
Pilates. Went in there, taught a class. She's like, when can you start? And I was like,
mm,
and then there's that piece where it's like, oh my God, that's so great. But then Maya comes in again and wants to tell me, well, she doesn't know you yet.
mm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's that. So, I mean, I've grown so much in that particular area, but I do when I'm with my deities, I pray that I can just have the ability to serve them and not worry about not worry about the results I could do, but not worry about like let go of my own inner dialogue.
Mm,
That's what I want to let go. I don't want to even hear it. I
yeah.
don't want it.
Yeah. Wow. And that's what you're saying. Like that's true freedom. True freedom is when we replace that voice in our head that can be so insecure, can be so negative with relationship with God. And relationship with God is like it's only loving, it's only compassionate, it's only encouraging. It's not measuring your worth based off of how many people, how many views you get or how many likes you get. And what happens is when we really learn to take shelter in that relationship, we no longer really even care how many views we're getting, how many likes we're getting. It doesn't have any real value to us, except that we're trying our best to serve God. And in that, we just relish in that relationship because we're trying our best. It's like a kid who paints a picture for their parents, and the picture's imperfect to ordinary eyes, but to the parent, it's beautiful because they see how much effort the child put into it and how much love the child put into it. That's what God sees with our effort. So if we're sincerely trying our best to serve Him, we're relishing that relationship. And how it looks to ordinary eyes, whether we get one like, zero likes, nobody shows up to our program, it doesn't actually really matter because we're taking so much shelter of that relationship. And that's what we're talking about here, just shifting where we're taking shelter in this world. And the result is a heart of peace, right? It's real freedom. It's this
Well,
real freedom that we're talking about and
Can I
exists internally. Yeah,
oh,
can I say
Stella,
something? Just
please, always.
the negative script is I was told I have suffered from clinical depression and stuff in the past, um and it was the thing of try to see yourself as others, as your loved ones see you, as a
Mm,
beloved person. And it's like getting, trying to stop the script is a process, but if you can reach the point where it's happening, and I think I saw Shakti knows it's happening, and that's huge. And if you can pause and say, well, how does Krishna see me? He loves me. What, if you don't do it perfectly or whatever, nobody's like, only Krishna is perfect. So if we can, and it helped me just to have my it's like, it really saved me to think, well, my family loves me, like, and that's just on the material plane. I'm not a burden on this earth, um, and so if we, sometimes I tried really hard to do that when a negative script would come in and say, but is that the reality, the true reality of, you know, I must be I must be somehow enough because others love me. And I mean, the ultimate is that God loves you.
mm,
Just remembering that, it really cuts through that negative script. And if you trust that, um, it can whittle that script down. I mean, and
yes.
that's what I have
Yeah.
found.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I love that you lean on your family for some support too. I mean, that's so important. This is why even like these relationships, these close relationships we have with our spouse or our family, they're so important because even in spiritual life, they're so important because they even regulate that need that we have for approval, for love, for acceptance, because we get it there. Ideally, ideally, we're getting it there, and we get it there to a degree that we feel safe, we feel secure, and in that we can really have a nice environment to practice spiritual life. And this is
Yes.
how our families support that. So it's really important. I just read a quote from Prabhupada yesterday. I wish I would have copied it because I was like, this is so relevant. It was said like, kiss your wife or something, and it was like he was telling people to these brahmacharis that were extremely like in this mindset of like being very withdrawn, but then they got married. So he was telling them like you have to show affection to your wife and this is important for our spiritual life because the reality is we do have emotional needs now and therefore we regulate them and we regulate them by having this comfortable, healthy family that we get this love and acceptance from so that we're not out seeking it through 10,000 other places in this world and we can be calm and steady and focused in our spiritual life,
Yeah,
right?
totally. And other devotees can do that for us too. On a ladies' retreat in New Vrindavan once, Malati asked me to offer, do the puja for Srila Prabhupada. This is years ago, and I'm like, I'm not trained up. I don't know what to do. She said, I'll just stand behind you and tell you exactly what to do. So her doing that allowed me to really focus on Srila Prabhupada. And I was just like, I didn't worry about like which came first or next or how. She would just was telling me in my ear. And I had this ecstatic experience of actually offering Srila Prabhupada, but it was the only time in my entire life I did it. So it was just wonderful. And afterwards she hugged me and but this brahmachari came up and said, she didn't ring the bell the whole time. And my heart got smote like, oh, I forgot to do that. And Malati just turned to him and said, she was she and Srila Prabhupada were in a loving relationship. And she just
Oh,
slammed him down and hugged me. And I was just like, like, like at that point, am I going to trust my brain that says I was, or am I going to trust this beautiful devotee who just told me that it was beautiful? So, like, and then I thought, yeah, I'm going to trust Malati because she's you know, a
yeah,
sincere devotee. So it's those moments.
beautiful. And that's what I feel like we're that for all of us on this podcast together. Right? This spiritual family, this association of, yeah, it's important. Thank you. Beautiful reflections. Katie, what do you think?
Thank you. Hi, Krishna. And Stella, what a beautiful image. It was making me think how much like Krishna's there for us, like picturing him through her behind you, is so comforting. And like even thinking of trying to have say what I want to say right now, I was feeling a little nervous and I was just looking at my deities, Krishna will help you, just put your hand up. Because I feel like, especially lately, there's been a lot of reminders so kindly about how what is important is the effort, not the result, and thank you so much, Shakti, for your vulnerable shares a few weeks ago. And, you know, um, yeah, so that has been so well timed because, I think, it's, most of y'all know just through this group that like we've been on this very quite long IVF journey, and it just feels like a failing, it really
Mm.
feels like failing. And like, it's I was saying to my husband the other day, like, um, you know, and it's like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. We really don't have the money for this. Like, it's going to end up being for nothing. Like, there's a lot of challenges that have been unexpected, and I don't really know where it's going. But I was saying to him, like, you know, I can see like that there's been benefits. Like, I think it's bringing him and I closer and helping our relationship um just strengthen. And um I just these reminders that like you don't know the result, like, and it's so hard not to predict into the future or think about the past and, worry like, oh, you know maybe my healthcare will get cut off anyway, and all this few years will really not be for anything because we won't be able to do the last steps. um but it's been so helpful with you guys to just know, like, no matter what, it's okay. And the effort is what counts, because it's really easy to go to those dark places of like, this was for nothing, and it's not, it's really not. So thank you.
Wow. Katie, I felt myself kind of tearing up as you're sharing that um, beautiful share. And it's never, no effort is ever lost.
Yeah.
No effort is ever lost. And Krishna's plan is so much greater than we could really imagine.
And his
So,
love, yeah, like, and we're still loved, like, by our family who also might be disappointed. And sometimes there is like thoughtless, unkind things like, whose fault is it? And I'm like, oh no,
mm,
like, I've learned to shoot just those conversations. I can't.
mm,
Done a few of those conversations, and I'm like, nope, I
not
can't.
even a helpful question at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But things do make us more like thoughtful and resilient, and also realize, like, that doesn't that's not showing um what people are really intending to do or say, and it's certainly not the biggest thing to focus on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks.
Such a beautiful, relatable share. It's sometimes God's plan for us is so much different than what we thought it was or what we want it to be, and coming to grips with that can really be such an opportunity for surrender and closeness with God, but not easy.
Mm, yeah. And
But you're such,
accepting. Oh, sorry.
yeah, you're such an example of that for us. You're such an example of that for us in what you're sharing right now. I mean,
Thank you.
that's really tough.
Yeah. And accepting like timeline, like Krishna is time, and not everything's going to happen in this one short lifetime. And so there's
Right.
been a lot of benefits, to the process. Yeah.
Amazing. Keep going, Katie. We are your spiritual cheerleaders.
Thank you. Thank you.
So much progress with this. Aaron, what do you have for us?
Well, I really appreciate Katie saying just put up your hand and Krishna will take care of it because I feel like that's a great motto for this group. Um, I also really appreciate you sharing, Katie, because I'm in a very similar boat as you. And I saw, Chaitanya Charan's calendar thing of the Gita a day. He had one the other day that was like something about how we plan for, like we're focused on our present and plan for our future, and that Krishna plans for our future and wait, is focused on our future and plans for our present, which I thought was, really, really beautiful because, we have all these plans, um, but we don't know what the future holds, and knowing that like whatever surprises, good or bad, come in the future, like he's preparing us now for them. So just trying to consider the fact that there are, things that we don't know, right? Like you just said, like things that we don't know what's going to happen and what the results will be. Um, and I just wanted to share too that I did with a group of um, ladies yesterday, like year-long reflection with Rukmini Zodar. She does like a lot of art therapy. Um, and it was super, super beautiful because, um, well, it just made me realize like how much more reflection I need to do because, once you start reflecting on the year, I feel like it starts at like a very superficial level of like, trips you took and things you did. But I feel like to reflect on like your relationship with God, like you were saying, Radha, or like your spiritual progress or anything, like so much of that is so much more subtle that it's really hard to reflect, in 10 minutes or in an hour or something, like, but I thought it was really interesting because a lot of what people were sharing was like, a lot of the ups and downs of the year, but also like a lot of material achievements in certain ways, and juxtaposing that with like the fact that those things, even though they really wanted them, felt less successful or like amazing because like that's not what truly brings us happiness, just
Mm.
like just really zooming out and seeing that like um yeah, that like it's not all the things that we can write on our resume or like list as like accomplishments for the year that are necessarily the things that um that bring us that like contentment. um so yeah, just like sitting with all of the reflection with what you were sharing earlier about like, yeah, like what do we put between us and God in our relationship? Because it's a really deep and personal question, but definitely something to sit with. Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful reflections. Thank you. Thank you all. Such deep work that we're doing here as a group and individually in our lives. And appreciate all of you because this stuff is not easy. This life, this material world, it's a rehabilitation center, and it throws us things that we're not ready for, and it holds off on things that we think we are, and teaching us that we just need to surrender. And in that surrender is that relationship that's waiting for us, that brings us everything we ever wanted and more. Right? It's available for us in this life, just like Aaron was saying. So thank you. So the second part of this that I really want to bring this to before we run out of time here is zooming in on when we say Krishna is a person, like what that really means. Krishna's body. Sometimes when we think of a person, we think like this material body. That's what makes me a person. Right? But that's not really what we're talking about here. Krishna's body, Krishna's material, Krishna's, I shouldn't say material, but Krishna's body is eternal, full of perfect knowledge and full of bliss. This Satya Ananda. When he appears like a human, it's not that he's like taking on a material body. He's revealing his original eternal form. Right? He walks among us like a friend, a child, a nephew, a charioteer, even a diplomat. And because he acts so normal, people make the mistake of thinking that he is normal. But nothing about him is ordinary. Right? His form is completely spiritual. His form is completely spiritual. And then we think, okay, but aren't we Satya Ananda? We talk about our souls, the quality of our soul. Remember, we talked about this in chapter 2 a lot, that our souls have the same quality, right? They have the same quality, our souls. And in spiritual circles, people will say, we'll hear this a lot, like we're all one, right? All is God, everything is divine. And so we just want to clarify this. We are one with God in quality. We're also Satya Ananda at the level of the soul. But we're never equal to God in quantity. So Krishna's like the fire and we're like the sparks. And Krishna's Satya Ananda is like oceanic, unlimited, all powerful. And ours is like tiny, like a spark from that fire. And the big difference here is that our spiritual nature, our soul, is currently covered by a material body. Krishna's is not. So our body creates illusion for us. Krishna's form removes illusion from everyone around him. So his very body is Satya Ananda. He is spiritual, though he may appear, just like an ordinary person. We should not take for granted that he's not. And he is fully spiritual, and just by being in his presence removes illusion. Right? Our bodies create illusion. Being in his presence, he removes it from everyone around. His human-like form is his eternal form. So he's the same supreme person who sits in our hearts as God, right? Who manifests externally as a deity, who controls every atom, who controls every galaxy, who orchestrates the entire cosmic cycle. And he does it effortlessly. He does it effortlessly. And Prabhupada will call people these foolish that can't understand the difference between the material form, which is limiting, which is deteriorating. That's what all of us have, this material form, and the spiritual form, which is eternal, which is blissful, which is unlimited. And so they assume, my material body causes me suffering, so God's form must also be limiting. Therefore, maybe God doesn't even have a form. This is again just projecting our human experience onto God. We have to be very careful that we don't do this. This is why we come to these classes. This is why we read books like the Gita. Right? We get this knowledge. We can't just assume that our experience is everybody else's experience. Maybe you ever get caught in doing that. I'm planning a retreat right now with somebody, and I catch myself like the way that I do things I think is just the way, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess there's another way to do that. Okay, yeah, that sounds good too. You know, it's like we just project everything that we are, our reality onto everything. So we do this with God. We think, okay, this is my material body. It causes me suffering. So God's form also must be limiting. But we have to understand Krishna's form. It's not created. It doesn't age. It doesn't deteriorate. It's not bound by matter. Right? It's not different than himself. His form is like the concentrated experience of eternity, of knowledge and bliss. This is Krishna's form. This is God's form. There's this beautiful analogy I heard that I thought was really cute. Is we think of like a birthday cake and like a bunch of icing and cream on a birthday cake. You know, the cream can be spread everywhere as something that's diffused, but the cream can also be shaped into something beautiful and tangible. So in the same way, like the spiritual energy is spread everywhere, but Krishna is like the concentrated personal expression of that same spiritual reality. This is Krishna. Yeah. And so there's some obstacles to knowing this. You know, one is that like people just don't know it. Like here in the West, that's very popular. Like people don't know that God is a person. You know, or the other is misunderstanding. You know, thinking that you know Krishna, but actually holding the wrong conception. Like just thinking about Krishna when you read these stories, like he's just some fantastical person. And this understanding can be even more dangerous because you have to unlearn before you can actually learn. And if you think God is just a human, then you'll criticize him, you'll minimize him, you know, you'll mock him. So we really want to get to this place where we're understanding what we're actually talking about when God comes in a personal form. Right? He comes as a person. That doesn't mean he has a body just like ours. It may appear that way, but he is full, his spiritual quality, he's fully spiritual. Right? We have a spiritual core, but we have a material covering. God is fully spiritual. And he comes as a person in the way that he relates with us, so that he can have relationship with his devotees, so that he can laugh with his devotees, so that he can be a son, so that he can be a friend, so that we have that experience of relating to God in that way. And in this way, God comes as a person. But don't mistake him for just an ordinary person or even a fantastical person, because he's much more than that. He is the supreme controller. God is the supreme controller. So we have to and when we get more of an appreciation for this, when we even read stories about Krishna, we feel even more connected to it. You know, I know when I first came in and I tried to read the Krishna book, I was like, this is not very interesting. It's like because it didn't have a full appreciation for Krishna. I'm reading it just like he's a person. But when we understand God's like magnificent nature, his unlimited love and compassion for his devotees, and when we read it, we really experience the relationship. And that's what God's trying to bring us to here. It's not just like a story tale, something fantastical. No, this is God living his love and compassion in relationship with us, for us. And in that way, it blows your mind. It's this inconceivable divine power that he has. He comes as a person, but don't mistake him for an ordinary person. And this is what. Oh, Shakti, do you want to share something with us?
So yesterday morning, I do Mangala Arti every morning, pretty much with my like not if it's not a full Mangala Arti, I do a Mangala Arti with my deities, and I have the whisker and the peacock. And I try and do everything, but I can't. Sometimes I don't have the time. But yesterday, when I was down there, um, I was I don't know, I had so many things on my plate. Like I had these two tests. I had my OBA for Shash. It's so much going on. Like it was like I felt like I couldn't focus on what I wanted to focus on, which was glorifying Krishna and Radha. And so I prayed, and then I sat down. Sorry. And I just stared into Krishna's eyes. Like I just stared into his eyes. Then I would look at Radha's eyes, these beautiful lotus eyes. And I would just look inside. Like I felt like I was looking into them. And then I just sat there for about, it felt like an hour, but it probably was a minute. And when I was, you know, and then I had to start my material day, and I just prayed, like, I see you. I know I see you. I know you see me. Please help me. Please help me move through the world and do your, not your bidding, but do what I'm supposed to be doing, what you want, what you need. Let me move through this world in in your name, in your guidance, with your love. And so it was, yeah, it was really like mind blowing for me.
Mm,
And I felt like I had this, I guess the reason I bring it up is because you're talking about the material, the experience, and I felt like I had a truly spiritual experience. And
mm,
that's, yeah, it's incredible. But but because I'm like going here, going there, I'm always running. I'm always on the go.
mm,
And because I allowed myself to pause, I was able to do that.
mm.
So I, yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's just learning to experience God's presence in what we normally would might not pursue or make time for in our material lives. It's all about achievement and doing, and even like what Aaron was saying, that's our material life. What we think about is like what we did this year, what we achieved this year. But the spiritual, it's not something that you can perceive with your senses that we're so used to, engaging in this world with. It's transcendental. It comes as divine mercy, and it comes when we reach out. And we reach out when we're waking up early every morning to chant God's names. We reach out when we come up against an obstacle in our lives, or we're not getting what we want in life, and we have to surrender to that. And it comes out when we get diagnosed with, a terrible disease that we have to accept. Krishna, my body is yours. This is when this comes out, with these opportunities to reach up. And if we do this in those moments, we get this divine mercy from God. We have these experiences that you're talking about. Or even something as simple as, like you're talking about, creating time in our days. Creating time where we can really be focused, when we can really quiet the mind, and we can make space to be vessels for this divine mercy. So beautiful. Yeah, because Krishna's form is not material, and Krishna's personhood is not limited, and Krishna's love is not human-sized. He is Satya Ananda. He is eternal. He is full of knowledge. He is full of bliss, and he's inviting us into eternal relationship with him. This is his personhood. This is his personhood. So devotees of God, they don't get stuck thinking like, how can God look like a person? Why would he appear here? Why does he act so normal? They understand God is a supreme person. He is fully spiritual. He can reveal himself however he chooses. And because they accept this, they surrender wholeheartedly and they experience this liberation, what we've been talking about this whole time. They experience this liberation, almost just freedom from our own thoughts, from our own dirty narratives, right? They experience this liberation through devotion. Devotion can bring us this liberation. So people who think Krishna is just a human completely miss his transcendental nature, the eternal, blissful, all-powerful supreme person behind the entire cosmic manifestation. And the thing is that Krishna's not hiding his divinity behind a human form. He is revealing his heart through it. And this is what makes reading something like the Krishna book so extraordinary, is when we read it with these lenses. It's not like just some human with superpowers that we're reading about. This is a display of his love, his compassion, his relationship with his devotees. And you may read it and think, oh, this is so not relevant. He's slaying whatever. It's like, this isn't, how is this relevant to me now? He's slaying these narratives in our mind if we let him. He's slaying these old stories in our minds if we let him. He's there for us. Right? We can have this personal relationship. It's available for us. Right? Because the most extraordinary truth of everything is that the Supreme Person chooses to walk among us, not to impress us, but to love us. And he's there for us in that capacity if we allow ourselves to see it and be in relationship with God in that way. He's ready for us. Whatever you're experiencing in this material, rehabilitation center, it's designed to turn you back towards him because that's where this love and liberation truly exists. What do you think, Stella?
Just thinking of you
Colton?
know, thank you so much. It's beautiful that talking about
No, you're
talking about Krishna's love. I'm just thinking, Krishna's love is unconditional. It's not conditional. And so many people we have lived lives, filled with conditional love. Um, and so we feel like, well, if I am like this or if I do like this, I'll be loved. And it's hard to find that in this world, but it exists, and I think it's beautiful. And I want to remind myself that Krishna's love is unconditional. It eases my mind so much and really soothes my heart. And also the contradictions of I love the contradictions in Krishna's presence, that he is this awesome, all being. But he's little baby Krishna. He's so cute. And he's so easy to love that way. And we each approach, Krishna in our own way, and Krishna comes to us each in his own way. I don't know. That's all. Thank you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. Krishna's love is unconditional. Another example of us projecting our experience with human relationships onto God. And we think it's conditional, but no. And we can't even fathom what that's like because just like you said, it doesn't really exist here.
And
But
we
we
can
could
we
just
can not put our conditions on him either.
mm,
Like the unconditional, if we could practice that toward Krishna,
wow. What's an example of putting our conditions on him?
um, that his human form is not good.
And like right the way you started at the very beginning, about how, if things go well, we think one thing or like that.
Yeah, we put conditions on Krishna when the expectations aren't met or something, and we think, well,
You must not love
he
us.
must not love us. And it's like, well, we're not practicing unconditional love to God. I mean, we're putting a condition on him. We don't want to have a condition on us.
Right.
It's reciprocal. That's what I love about Christian consciousness. It's so reciprocal.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else on camera want to share? I see you all smiling. Erin, do you have a final reflection for us today?
Oh, does she want to talk first?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
George, I wasn't going to call you out because I was trying to be nice.
No, no. All good, all good. Um, well, no, just kind of listening to the conversations today. I mean, we're all sort of works in progress, right? Talk about perfection. No one's perfect. We do our best every day, right? I think that all of us that are here, um, I'm sure Shakti or Stacey's mentioned, like I do like a music podcast, live stream, once a week, or I interview other artists and whatnot. But the we talk about viewers and the followers and the likes and this, and like it doesn't matter, right? The
Mm,
doing something that you love, that you're passionate about, like that's the true blessing, is that you get to do that, right?
mm,
And then if people are watching, people that tune in, whatever, like people, the ones that come here to this, so not everyone can make this call every time, right? Because I noticed that some people were missing or whatnot, but that's still okay. And I always would say that the people that are there, here in the moment, like this moment in time, this is where you're supposed to be at this moment in time,
mm,
right? And just to kind of appreciate the time. Like I always say, time is something you can't get back, right? So we're here right now because we're all supposed to be here together in this moment, right? So just kind of appreciating that, because again, you know, the whole cliche is, today could be your last day here. So what can you do? What is just try to enjoy the moments that you have. Like, I was talking to someone the other day about, you know, just being able to get up, wake up the next morning and we're here, right? That's a
mm.
blessing, right? So, yes, there's all the things that go around. Your brain's like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. Oh, I did this, but did I do it good enough? Like, it doesn't matter. The fact that you actually even went and did it, like that's it's huge, right? Because a lot of times people get in their own way and they want to do something, yet their mind is like, oh no, I can't do it. So then they never do it, right?
Yeah.
Every time that comes, like, oh no, I'm not, it's not gonna. But you have to take that first step, right? That
Yeah.
first step in doing it. And then once you get that first step, then you're like, okay, that wasn't so bad. And then you take the next step, and then the next one, and the next one, and all of a sudden, instead of these little baby steps, now you're walking, then you're running, now you're sprinting. Now it's like,
George, this is spiritual life.
that's it. This
That's
is
it. One
it.
step at a
Like you have
time.
to, I don't know. And like I said last time, you pivot, don't sweat the small stuff. Like it
I love
just,
the pivot, George. I love the pivot. That word has
you
been with
have,
me since the,
and you
yes.
Yes.
have to, but you have to, because then otherwise you get stuck,
And
right?
you
And
know,
then
George,
it's kind
I
of,
loved too, sorry.
no,
I
no, no,
love I love your example of when you're doing your podcast, you're not worried about likes because you're just so internally satisfied. And this is what happens when we're so internally satisfied. We're not looking externally so much for approval, for love, for satisfaction, whatever it is. That's the ticket. That's the ticket to happiness, this internal satisfaction.
no, and it is, look, we're human, so yes, there's that part of the brain that's like, if I'm doing the thing and I'm like, oh, there's only like, 10 people watching, like what happened? Last week there were 50. I'm like, what's going on? Like maybe I'm not doing it
Right?
right. But
Yeah.
then it's that split second. I'm like, no, I'm I'm doing it. I'm doing the interview. Like there's people here, like I'm
Yep.
doing it. That's it.
Spoken like a true spiritualist. Thank you so much, George. You're such an internal, deep person. We appreciate your
Oh,
realizations, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you better in Costa Rica.
it'll be a lot of fun. Warmer than here.
Yes, yes, definitely. Well, my friends, I think that is all of our time for today, but thank you so much for coming. Thank you for sharing. If you're interested in Costa Rica or Women's Retreat, feel free to message me, call me personally. We can get you set up. If if whatever it takes, let's figure it out. Let's make it happen. So that's it for today, and I will see you all on Thursday. Thank you so much for coming. I love you all.